In the summer of 1987, a fisherman in eastern India walked into a swamp with his brother. Only one of them walked out. When villagers found him 3 days later, he was sitting waist-deep in black water, staring at nothing. His skin was untouched, no wounds, no blood, but his hair had turned completely white. When they asked him what happened to his brother, he said only one thing, over and over, in a whisper. It wore his face. It wore his voice. And I almost followed it.
The locals have a name for what lives in that swamp. They call it Baak. They say it doesn't hunt you. It becomes someone you love and waits for you to follow it into the water. This is the story of the swamp that remembers your voice. The swamp sits on the edge of a small village in West Bengal, one of hundreds you'd never find on a map. The kind of place where the roads turn to dirt after a single turn and the electricity flickers out before 9 at night. The elders call it Barker Jol, the water of bark. Not a lake, not a marsh, something in between. Still, dark and endless.
For generations, the story passed the same way. A creature lives in the swamp that can take the shape of anyone who has died near its waters. Not copy them, become them. Their walk, their laugh, even the small things. The way your mother cleared her throat before speaking. The way your brother scratched his ear when he lied. The villagers say bark doesn't lie with its words. It lies with your own memories, using them against you. Rakesh Mondal was 31 years old when he lost his brother, Bikram, in that swamp. Rakesh still lives in the village today, though he rarely speaks of that year. When researchers and folklorists visited in the early 2000s, he agreed to talk, but only once, and only near daylight.
Who described the morning clearly. Cool air, a fine mist over the water, the kind of stillness that makes even birds go quiet. He and Bikram had gone fishing before sunrise, as they always did. But partway in, Bikram stopped rowing. He said someone was calling him from the reeds, Rakesh recalled. I heard nothing, only wind. Bikram stepped into the water anyway. Rakesh followed, calling his name. And that's when he says he saw her, their mother, standing in the shallows. Their mother had been dead for 6 years. She smiled at them. She called them both by the childhood nicknames only she had used. She held out her hand for Bikram, the way she used to when they were boys, crossing a busy street. Rakesh says he knew something was wrong. Not because she looked wrong, she looked perfect, but because of a detail so small, it still haunts him. Her feet didn't sink in the mud, he said. She stood on top of it, like the water was solid ground for her and only her. Bikram didn't notice, or didn't care. He walked toward her, smiling, calling her Ma with a joy Rakesh hadn't heard in his brother's voice in years. Rakesh grabbed his arm. Bikram shoved him off, hard, with a strength Rakesh says didn't match his brother's slim frame. And then Bikram kept walking, deeper, until the water reached his chest, his neck, his chin. Rakesh screamed for help. No one heard him.
By the time other villagers arrived with torches and rope, the water had gone still again. Bikram was gone. Their mother, or whatever had worn her face, was gone too. Rakesh was found later that night, sitting in the shallows, whispering to no one. This is not the only story from that swamp. In 1994, a school teacher named Anoop Ghosh
claimed he saw his missing wife walking along the swamp's edge at dusk, calling his name in a voice too warm, too eager. He said something about the way she smiled made his stomach turn cold before his mind understood why.
He didn't follow her. He ran. He said later, in a recorded interview with a regional folklore researcher, a single sentence that has since been repeated by nearly every villager who tells this story. A person who loves you does not need to convince you to come closer. He survived. Others did not. Over the decades, local records, informal ones, kept by village priests and old police notebooks, mention at least 9 disappearances tied to the swamp. No bodies were ever recovered. No official investigation ever confirmed a cause. Officially, the deaths were ruled as drowning, accident, or simply unexplained. But the villagers know better. They say Baak doesn't drown you, it invites you. And love, they say, is the one instinct that never questions a familiar face.
In 2011, a small television crew from a regional network arrived at the village, chasing the legend for a folklore documentary. Among them was a young sound technician named Debashish Roy, 26 years old, skeptical, and the only crew member who didn't believe a word of it. He recorded ambient swamp sounds for background audio. Insects, wind, water. Standard work. When the crew reviewed the tapes that night, they found something none of them could explain. Beneath the natural sounds, buried under insect noise and dripping water, there was a voice. Faint, layered, almost like an echo trapped inside the recording. Debashish's colleagues say it took 3 replays before anyone noticed it clearly.
It was saying a name, Debashish's own childhood nickname, a name his mother used, a name none of the crew, none of the villagers could have known. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he told the producer he wanted to leave early, before filming wrapped. He walked to the swamp's edge alone at dawn, headphones still around his neck, perhaps to record one final clip, or perhaps, as some crew members later suspected, because something called him there. He was never seen again. The equipment was found neatly stacked at the water's edge, not dropped, not scattered, placed, the way someone sets something down when their hands are calm. The recorder was still running.
When investigators reviewed the final minutes of audio, they heard footsteps entering the water. Calm ones, unhurried. And then, faintly, Debashish's own voice, soft, almost relieved. "There you are. I've been looking for you." Then, nothing. Just water. Just wind. To this day, no one knows who or what he thought he was speaking to. The recording was eventually handed to local police, then quietly filed away. Copies exist informally among folklore researchers, though the original has reportedly been lost or withheld. Some who worked on the documentary crew refused to discuss that night at all.
What ties this story together? What turns folklore into something colder is this detail, repeated across every account from 1987 to 2011, spanning decades and people who never met each other, who never heard each other's testimonies. Every single person who followed the voice into the water was calm, not afraid, not confused, happy, as if for one final moment they believed they were finally home. The swamp is still there today. Locals still avoid its edges after dusk. Children are taught the name Baak before they're taught to swim.
No government agency has ever confirmed what happened to the missing. No scientist has offered an explanation for the voice on that tape. The village has simply learned to live beside something it cannot name and cannot leave behind.
Rakesh Mondal, now in his 60s, still lives near that water. When asked years later if he ever returned to the swamp, he gave one final answer, the kind that lingers long after the interview ends, long after the cameras are put away. "I go there sometimes," he said. "Not to fish, just to listen. Because some nights, I think I hear her voice again. And some nights, I'm not so sure I want to run." If you ever find yourself near still water at dusk, and someone you love calls your name from the reeds, look at their feet first.